Well, look at all this, people. How you guys doing? Well, in the words of Mama Cass and Daddy, whatever the rest of the name of the rest of the band was, it was Monday. How you guys doing out there? This is Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And yes, I think I fixed my camera today, but I don't want to jinx it, you know what I mean? Because it's working, and I want to make sure that it keeps working and all that jazz. It has been a major thing. So, we are here, we're out there, and welcome to the Darkcide of the Room. Now, this is the show where we talk about big concepts, we talk about gaming and hobbies, and how these things affect our lives, and how we can use things in our lives. Just getting a little satisfied there. How we can use the stuff in our lives to help improve our hobby and vice versa. So, thank you guys for being here today. Thank you guys for starting out the week. We are doing some serious talk today. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody who's here, everybody who has a chance to be here and all that stuff, gets a chance to say hello and what's up. So, how did I do that? Well, first thing I did was I made sure that the Discord is kind of up to date there. Look at that. Oh yeah. Like I said, let's talk today, guys. Let's seriously talk. And of course, I'm making sure that everybody is in and has their time to chat. But before we get started with the rest of everything else, I want to say, hey, what's going on? And this is the part where I start begging y'all. Not the part that I like particularly, but you know, gotta get them bills paid and all that stuff. And so, if you guys are interested in helping us out and making sure that we can keep broadcasting and keep doing this 5 days a week, and yeah, we are here 5 days a week, then what you can do is send me an email at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK at gmail.com. And of course, you can also hit me up on the social media that, we all have and no one likes, specifically Twitter and Instagram, also at Back in the Deck. And you can hit me up because it's one of the things that you can do there. You can hit me up and check out, follow, and definitely share our TikTok. Okay, we got a TikTok, and that is really cool that we have a TikTok because how can I put it? Sometimes I get what is the term? Yeah, sometimes I get a little inspired, you know, and then I can do something on TikTok just real quick and all that jazz. And that ain't a terrible thing to do. Also, I need your guys' help to keep this channel going and the stuff on the YouTube and all that other stuff. So please subscribe to the channel, join the Patreon, hit them buttons, them subscribe and all that stuff. If you're on Twitch, subscribe there as well. It really helps keep the doors open. And if you are up for it, then please visit our Patreon at at patreon.com/BID_P. And seriously, $5, $10, even $20 a month, that's really not that much money, y'all. I know it seems like it, but I will tell you this, all right? Flat out. I went to McDonald's the other day, and just like a combo meal was literally about $10. Or when I go to any fast food place, I'm like, hey, you know, I got a thing for like bacon double cheeseburgers, you know? So I'm like, hey, can I get a bacon double cheeseburger and make it a combo meal? I want some crisp cut fries. And they're like, yep, that'll be $9.85. So I'm really asking you guys to buy me one of those once a month. That's all, once a month. That really helps me pay for the equipment, pay for repairs, Nothing that anybody does in a studio lasts forever. Machines break, computers need to be upgraded, all of that stuff. And that's how I do it. It's how I can do this without running commercials, y'all. Between your guys' subscriptions and your patronage, that really helps. I gotta give a shout out to my royalty tier on my patrons. The royalty tier are the people that pay $20 a month or more, such as Shannon Boom Boom Lay, Chaley Watson, Laura Holton, Jennifer Kroll. I've got the name. Give me just a sec, because it's Noel Olheiler. Okay, this is the only one. He's the only one that I've actually taken the time to write down. But yeah, Noel Olheiler. We also got our king, Christopher Chalmers, and our other king, Laura Gross, and of course our ace in the hole. You guys know him. You guys love him, Mr. Joseph Hines. So, thank you guys for being there. Thank you guys for being my queens, kings, and aces. You guys really help keep this channel going, okay? Not to mention our community outreach stuff. So, what happened? Well, it's Monday. And this Monday, I actually got to hook up with one of the sister stores to Back in the Deck, because we work with local game stores, especially if they're owned or operated by people of color and women and LGBTQ+. Not to mention the neurodivergent, differently able, and the physically disenfranchised, because I have never seen a housing project that's more than 2 miles from a trailer park. All right, that's just the way it goes. And really, I let him see that the 3D printing hobby and all that stuff was a lot more accessible, and I helped him get a 3D printer. And I went down to try and help him hook it up, but he'd done most of the work without me. So I gave him some files, gave him some tips, and I got to spend time talking to the customers, which was really, really awesome. Okay, I met some really cool families, some really cool out-of-towners. Hopefully they'll be here in the chat sometime, or probably watching on the video on demand. So that's pretty cool, actually. I'm really enjoying that. And so yeah, I actually got to meet some people, and I met someone who, seriously, I may as well call this dude a brother in arms. All right, he grew up in the barrio where I grew up in the hood. What's the difference between the barrio and the hood? Language, spelling and pronunciation. And he was there with his mom, and we talked about a lot of stuff. And he was telling me about the stories that he has gone through. He and I are about the same age. He has a kid that's a lot younger than mine. And he was talking about some of the same places that I'd gone through over the course of my life and all that stuff. It was interesting because he was there to pick up Warhammer stuff. So that's some interesting stuff. I got to take a second look at it. And we talked about a lot of stuff, principles and just living, why we game, and a lot of the barriers that are still out there. Okay. It's been a really introspective weekend for me, because there's a lot of stuff that's on my mind, y'all. A lot of stuff on my mind. A lot of stuff that makes me love the stuff we do. The cosplay, the miniature painting, the terrain building, the role-playing games, the tabletop miniatures. Just all the stuff, all right? But there's also a lot of barriers that stop people from enjoying this stuff. And I got to talk to them. I got to talk to this family from the barrio about what we do and why we do it. Okay? Because the area that they grew up in, it's essentially, I'm not giving their names and stuff, but God, I'm looking for my notes. Yeah, we were, he grew up in Boyle Heights. I grew up in South Central. And again, that's just some rough stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that we had in common, especially about this hobby. And when I say this hobby, I mean whatever part of all these things that you enjoy doing. All right. Now, growing up, I've always had these speech patterns. I've always had. Oh yeah, they fell down here. Cool. Found my notes. I have always had this cadence. I've always had a large vocabulary. And there was always a sense of outsidedness, okay? And when I first started playing D&D and first started painting miniatures and making terrain and essentially making my own toys, there was a stigma that came along with it, which is, oh, that's white people stuff, okay? And I resented my peers and contemporaries because I didn't understand what they were saying when they said that, okay? Because it's like, man, you talk white. Man, you talk this. Man, you do white people stuff. I'm like, this stuff is fun. You know, give it a shot. And this got me thinking about language, okay? Because it's interesting in the sense of we as a culture, as Americans, we all go to school, we all learn English, okay? But what we learn is vocabulary, we learn some pronunciation, and that's it. What we don't really learn or practice is functioning context, colloquialism, and the way that language evolves. That waits till college. And we fall into this habit of hearing the words and answering the words instead of engaging with the topic of conversation. Okay. Now this comes out with me because when people tell me that's white people stuff, they're not saying that stuff that white people are doing so we shouldn't. What they're actually saying is that's stuff that white people do, so if we start, they won't let us. All right? And that was an interesting realization that I came to. People of color feel this a lot. Women feel this a whole lot. How's it going, Daryl? Stargate, all that stuff. So yeah, I love that you guys are on YouTube and watching. So yeah, keep it up. I'm bouncing back and forth between the chats. But when it comes to that, and this is a real big thing that I see, this idea of the allowed people, the ones that are here and do this and do those things, that play role-playing games or paint model cars and stuff. They won't let us if we try. And to my viewers out there who are not people of color or women or LGBTQ plus or neurodivergent or fiscally disenfranchised, this may sound a little uncomfortable to hear, okay? But the fact of the matter is, that is the thoughts in a lot of places, okay? And the truth is, that thought isn't entirely unfounded, okay? And I want to get into that because I was thinking about communication. I was thinking about people saying what they mean, not saying what they mean, and why they would be closed off to doing something pleasurable, okay? Such as playing role-playing games or painting models or learning how to 3D design so that they could 3D print or even make their own video games. You know, these things, like why would they do that? Why would they close themselves off to it? And then I think back to my experiences, and I talk to some people that have some of the same experiences, okay? Now, Stargate says some black people think that there's only one way to be black, and that's true. That is very true. But I don't think it's as many as one would believe, okay? One of the things I've noticed is a defense mechanism of, I don't want to get passionate about this and then not be allowed in. And there is a large history of many communities that do it. Um, I was talking with my girl a little bit earlier today about how, in a lot of ways, the internet has sort of locked us into the middle class junior high mindset. Okay. And this isn't me going, you millennials. No, just follow with me. Okay. When the internet first was available, it was only available to people who had top notch computers and could afford modems. Okay. Which means middle class and higher. All right. Coming from the hood, or as we called it back in my day, the ghetto, there were 3 of us on the entire block that had a computer by 1989. Okay, 3. I was one of them, and mine was the worst of the bunch. I didn't even have a screen that could do full color. I had that green matrix VGA thing, and but when I finally got on the net, I noticed that people there were very immature. Okay. She brought up anonymity, and that tends to be the number one place where anonymity is the number one thing that's brought up. When you're on the net, people don't know who you are, so they can be as mean as possible without consequence. And I'm not saying that's untrue, but the thing that I was really coming across was the people that had access to the net tended to be the people from very isolated parts of society. Okay. And they didn't know how isolated they were from society because everyone they interacted with all had the same stuff and they were all the same age. Okay. I'm turning 45 very soon, and I find I don't have as much time or energy to do all the stuff that I did when I was in junior high. Modern music doesn't mean that much to me anymore because I can find words to express what I think and how I feel. And I have much more experience in life examining the experiences that I've gone through and finding better ways to describe how I feel or what I think. Not to mention, those adolescent hormones stopped long time ago. But most of the people that are on the web are either people who are fiscally well off enough to be unemployed and not lose their place to live, or people people who have a life that's not bent on survival because it's assured. Most of the time, those are teenagers and tweens and stuff like that. So the overall culture of the internet very much was shaped by tweens and teenagers, and it really hasn't grown out of that because the people that do grow out of that spend less time on the net. you know it was always made to sell, Neon Arlecchino, saying modern music isn't meant to help you understand yourself, it's made to sell. That's always been the thing. So let's see here, what's up. We got Daryl shout out saying most groups, if not all, even black people, don't like certain people doing what they feel is theirs. That's true. That's true. There is a sense of ownership. And if someone else does it, they're like, no, that's mine. But I think it comes from a deeper place. And that deeper place is if someone else does what's mine, it won't remain mine. Okay? And if I do something that belongs to someone else, they'll think I'm trying to steal. Okay? And it's very interesting. I look at history in the long view. I look at life as the long view. I've got more life behind me than I have in front of me. Okay? And, yeah, I take a look at why people think up all this stuff. Now, I created this place as an environment and a place for people who like stuff to do stuff. And anyone who tries to keep out folks under, the premise of the circumstances of their birth, I don't let them in. But that means I'm dancing on a razor's edge quite a bit, all right? It's interesting. I have I'm plugged into a certain part of the Black community. I'm plugged into a certain part of the Latino community, and a certain part of the white community, and just so many communities. I'm not gonna say I'm a social butterfly, but I have a lot of fingers, and they're plugged into a lot of places. They have to be for the nature of what I do. And I find that all the way across the board, we live in an age where people are afraid all the time. Um, I was thinking about when I teach role playing games, when I run games for new players, and someone in the chat brings up a lot. They're afraid of making a suboptimal move and ruining the experience for everyone there. And I can't get that out of my head, because I tend to think, where does this thought process come from? And then I think about all the complaints and stuff that I see online. I spend a decent amount of time on YouTube, researching stuff. I don't go on Reddit anymore. I don't spend a lot of time interacting on Facebook or Twitch or on TikTok and stuff, primarily because there is so much negativity there. I see so much negativity. It's when I was talking to my girl about today's show today, um I brought up this thing that I'm noticing, which is a desire for a silver bullet to every particular thing. And this manifests its way a lot with new players asking me what they should do. Like, oh my God, there's a guy coming at me. What should I do? Tell me what to do. Tell me the answer. Okay? And I think about how we got there. All right? And I think all the way back to school, where being trained for tests made things so that the answer is more important than understanding the material, because we assess things by answers, and whoever has the highest score gets most of the reward. So we try and jump to the answer, and we've stopped thinking about the process of getting there. So we want the solutions. We want someone to tell us what the answer is. I'm being attacked by a gnoll. How do I kill it in one hit without taking any damage and without taking any risks? We see that a lot in a lot of newer games, in a lot of newer situations when we're interacting with life. It's how a lot of people in power interact with us as well. I can't tell you how many times I've told people, I can't give you the answer that you want. I don't know exactly when I'll be back, or I don't know exactly what I need for this project. I'm still going through the logistics. I'm compiling the list. I don't have it. Well, you need to give it to me now. Why? You gonna explode? You gonna turn to ash? I don't have what you want. And in today's world, with the pains that we feel, okay, the absolute pains, the disenfranchisements that we feel, the fear of threats, be it from white supremacists or people that don't like you for your circumstance of birth, whoever they are, whatever gates they're holding, to job promotions, to even traveling from one place to another. I know how stressful it is. Okay, I go through a lot of it all the time. And I also know the gaslighting nature of American culture, where a person's fears and trepidations are constantly written off as an individual flaw. Okay, I get it. I understand it. Here's the thing. It's not true. All right. I love speaking in metaphors, if you guys hadn't gotten it. And my favorite metaphor is cake. Love cake. Okay? But you don't open a box of cake mix, throw it in the oven, close the door to the oven, and then open it up 4 seconds later and have a cake. Fully iced, fully decorated, and cut into layers. There's a lot of procedure that goes with making a cake. Okay? And this occurred to me because of the family that I was talking to, and the fact that he was there buying miniatures. And it's pretty cool. I think it was pretty cool. And having these things, like putting together miniatures and stuff, there's always a big difference between the box art and what we actually have in our collection after we're done painting, right? Um, but there seems to be, in modern culture, a fear of cultivating skills, okay? We've stopped appreciating the process, okay? If you guys are wondering, why do I start most players I've never played with at level 1, okay? I do. I start them off at level 1. And that's because I always want to make sure that they and I are on the same page when it comes to how they play a game and how I run a game. Okay, this is important. A lot of people are like, well, you could talk about that at session 0. Only if they're veteran players, okay? But with new players, there needs to be a lot of things. And I find that running games at the beginning, at low levels, makes players a lot more comfortable with asking questions about game mechanics and things like that than they would if I started them out at like 7th level. You know, there's fewer options and they have to learn to use their creativity. And this is how all skills work. Every single one. I don't care what it is you do. Okay? If, let's say, currently you are a rapper, go back and look at your old bars. If you're a writer, check out some of your old stories. If you're a costumer, compare what you made last year to what you made when you first got started. And you'll see an evolution. You'll see an evolution. You'll see skills getting better. You'll see little bitty parts. But you'll only see that if you're willing to take that look. Okay? We've cultivated, especially on the internet, this idea where something that looks amazing today, as soon as the new technology comes out, it will look terrible. What we did today, oh no, man, that's garbage. Oh, what I'm looking at right now, that's garbage. I mean, oh, I can't stand how my old videos look. And I'm like, dude, y'all need to back up just a little. Cause yeah, the stuff that you say doesn't look that great, I think it looks fine, especially considering what you had and what you were working with at the time. But a lot of people don't dig that, you know? And I get it. I just don't agree. And the idea of even the idea of disagreeing, like I get into so many fights with people when I tell them, dude, you're doing great. Well, it doesn't feel like I'm doing great, so I'm not doing great. And I'm like, are you trying to fight me to tell me that you suck? Is that what you're doing? Because I don't believe that you suck. I don't believe that you're terrible. I think that what you're doing is pretty good. And so many people, oh my God, I cannot tell you how many people come across with that. And so I get the idea of wanting to be efficient. You know, we look at our narratives, we look at our entertainment, and so much of our entertainment gets so much crap because the audience tends to know more than the characters. All right. Now one of the games I run, I got players who are playing the game as though they're the audience watching something on TV, and I will tell you, they are bored to all heck because they're doing everything exactly right. They're avoiding all risks, and they're not having any fun, nor are they overcoming any challenges because they're avoiding all challenges. Think about that, all right? And I'm like, you know, guys, you would have a little more fun if you weren't so worried about getting stuff right. Make a mistake. Fix the mistake. That is where story comes from. Even the most competent characters go through stuff where they do everything right and it still doesn't work. Okay? But I get the difficulty. I get the difficulty in wrapping one's head around those ideas. So I start to ask the question, why do people do what they do? Okay, what is it that they're actually wanting? And most of the time, I get a plethora of answers that aren't complete. Okay. I start to think, do they want to win? Do they want to dominate? Um, the biggest thing that I come up with is that they're chasing a feeling. And when you're chasing a feeling in your hobbies, that can always be dangerous. Primarily because the feeling that you're chasing may be based off of incomplete information. I grew up in the hood. And in the hood, there was a lot of violence. Okay, at that time, there was a lot of violence, a lot of drugs. Okay, and a whole lot of holes in the infrastructure. And I was taught, when you grow up, you do all this stuff, and then you move to the suburbs, and everything will be cool. And then I moved to the suburbs, and I saw, yeah, no, not for me, not for me. Thank you, yeah, not for me. And when I left the suburbs and came back to the hood, I realized how much of a TV childhood I had. Like, I raced go-karts. Not at a track. We built our own. I had a lemonade stand, like, every summer. Yeah, we recycled cans, but, we'd go through the neighborhood recycling cans to buy candy. And I swam at the public pool because one person on the block had one, but I didn't want to bother him because he was an elder. Um, Yeah, Daryl's sitting up with the Matt Mercer effect. You're absolutely right. The Matt Mercer effect. Now, I've been studying Matt Mercer and the Critical Role crew for a long time. Okay, a very long time. And I've mentioned them on the show many, many times before. They are all writers. They are all professional writers. And I can tell you, I know a lot of professional writers. I ran in those circles for a long time. And they tell me fun things like all published writing isn't writing, it's rewriting. Because they never get the first draft right. They never get the first 10 right. I was a musician for a while, and I never nailed it on the first track. Nobody nails anything on the first track. But we've built up this mythology where when we're new to something, or when we're young and experienced on something, we see the people who are good at what they do. And there used to be a term, I don't know if it's still used, but when I was growing up, there was a term, man, that guy makes this look easy. And that was a serious term. Because, people that are real good at something are good at it, and they don't show the effort that went into it because they've practiced all of it out. The sociological term is unconscious competence. And since most of us get exposure to new things in this day and age, either through television, streaming, or the internet, that comes with editing out of most mistakes. Okay? We don't get to see all of the accidents. I know a lot of friends who can draw very well. I'm in awe of all of them. I really am. That to me is like magic. Okay. But I see them taking their portfolios to conventions to like get overlooked by get their stuff looked over by professionals and things like that. And I see the hours and hours of work that they put in to honing their craft. I think about the hours that I spent learning guitar and learning bass, the hours that I currently spend trying to get all this stuff smoother for you guys. And I always see people comparing the person who wants to start with the person who essentially specialized the field. They did it. And I'm like, if those are the standards that we hold ourselves up to in the beginning, the only people that are going to stick to it are, in my experience and in my opinion, the angry and competitive. Okay? I know a lot of people, I used to know a lot of people who I couldn't have any conversations with because they studied race relations and they worked their butt off for it. So I couldn't talk to them because if my life was different from what they worked hard at, then they felt like they were wrong the entire time or I was lying to them. And I'm like, yeah, your book knowledge versus my life experience with this subject that you will never experience firsthand, it's not lining up congruently, and I really don't want to deal with your anger at this conversation, especially since, well, again, I'm not friends with those people anymore. I don't, oh, yeah, somebody with a loud system. Hold on. I will never understand why people turn their bass up that high. Never could. And I'm a bass player, for God's sake. But yeah. So I do tend to think about a lot of that stuff. And I wanted to talk with you guys today about ways to engage with your hobby that won't make you prisoner of these tropes, of these habits, okay? I know it was a long time getting around to that, right? Real talk, all right? I know what it's like wanting immediate gratification. I know what it's like being frustrated with learning. And I really know what it's like being afraid that you're not going to get it and you're going to be made fun of. All right? I really, really do. And the fact of the matter is sometimes you are going to be made fun of. Here's the thing. This is a two-pronged statement. Prong one. No one deserves to be mocked when they are doing their best. Okay? No one deserves it. And you don't have to be around people that mock you when you do your best. You do not. You don't have to interact with them. And that's something that a lot of people get. Because I wanted to talk about the disposable culture of the 21st century, but I'll work that out and I'll do a little bit more of that tomorrow. But here's the second part. There are some people that are going to try. They're going to try and mock people while they're in the process of learning because they're insecure little monkeys. Okay? And here's the thing, though. They are not indicative of the entire culture, even though it feels that way. And I will tell you this, okay? I know what the feeling is, all right? I wrote off an entire gaming company, specifically Games Workshop, because the store that I tried to play in had racist players and racist employees that didn't want me there. Okay? And they couldn't come out and just drop an N-bomb. That would have been cool. Or should I say that would have been cooler than what happened, which is they made me jump through all these hoops. And I definitely live a life. And this is why I wanted to open up with the people should say what they mean. The life that I've lived, the people that didn't want me around never had the guts to say that they didn't want me around. So they would always push the goalpost back to something that they didn't believe that I was capable of achieving. And so I would achieve that thing. And then I would have to achieve that thing. So I've built up this big old habit of solving problems. And the reductionist in you guys are saying, well, you don't have to do that. Just take it as a no. Guys, if that's the case, then people that do need help solving problems also don't get help. But the people that do that, they do it for plausible deniability because they're too afraid to be labeled in congruency with their behavior. All right? However, they are not the majority. All right? I'll tell you this. Over the past 4 years, I've met a lot of 40K players. And the ones that I've met don't believe that it's like that until I tell them my experience. And they're like, dude, I am so sorry. Yeah, the goalpost shuffle, right? Yeah. They didn't believe that my experiences were like that because we're so taught to gaslight people that don't like stuff. And we're definitely taught to defend what we like as though we are defending ourselves. Okay, that's just part of our culture. But the thing is, it's not all like that. It only seems like that. Truth be told, there aren't nearly as many bullies or racist or aggressive phobes and ists that there seem to be. Okay? And this is coming from someone who spent the past 8 years of his life out there looking for them. And I know what I'm looking for. I've gone through quite a few languages of discrimination over the course of my adult life. But I know how easy it is, especially when your first interaction is with these knuckleheads. All right? We got Vixabel saying that they got mocked and made fun of relentlessly when they were learning D&D. And yeah, that's honestly the reason why I created this place. Because anybody who makes fun of a new person for not already being an expert, in the parlance of my neck of the woods, they done forgot where they came from. Because they weren't born with expert level of any of that stuff. And I'm that guy that calls them out. Like, oh, so what are you saying? Well, they could totally just use prestidigitation. That's like the best cantrip. Maybe that's not what they want to do. Maybe if you played your character better, then you would be happier with all this other stuff. I'm that guy at the table. Oh my God, we got a raid. What's up, raid? Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much, Chat Attack and Double Toasted. What's going on, guys? We're being raided right now. I should totally turn that why didn't the alert didn't come up. That was weird, but we're getting raided. So what's going on? Thank you guys for showing up. One of the friends to your channel would be like, witness me. But yeah, so seriously, this idea of making fun of people who aren't brand new or who aren't experts because they're just learning this, like, real talk. When I was in the special effects industry, this was mid-90s, okay? The people in the office were like making fun of me because I was too poor to afford model kits. And they're like, well, if you didn't do all this stuff when you were a kid, I don't know why you were hired. And I'm like, all right, there are two things. One, I was hired for electronics, which I went to school for. And second, you didn't hire me, so shut your face. Okay? You don't know what I can do. I know what I can't do. And I'm not claiming to be an expert at this, but if you're saying that I have to be at some level for you to welcome me into this place, then I don't need to know you. You are beneath me. And that's all the breath I'm wasting on you, because, again, now that's the hostility that comes out in me, and there is a great deal. I was talking to my girlfriend about that. And she was letting me know that when a person tries to speak with authority, that comes with an interpretation of what authority is to the listener. And I'm like, that's interesting, but when a person puts an opinion out there, if the listener assigns authority to the person talking, how can the speaker adjust to that? And they were like, oh, didn't really think about that. I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. But I'll tell you guys this, all right? As far as being new to something, being new to anything, when people talk crap on you because you're new, I remember when I was young, before I was 30, and people were like, oh, you're young, you don't know nothing, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, one, you don't know me. Two, I've got more life experience in a lot of things than you do. And third, I had no control over when my parents hooked up. Like, you can't look at me saying, well, you're only this old. Now, I know that sounds kind of contradictory considering how I talk about being an old man and all that stuff. Yeah. I get greasy. I get greasy, y'all. I try not to let that part of me show because I like being positive. Okay. Um, you know, um, I'm like, I had no control over when my parents met and got down. So you can't make fun of me for when I came out, you know? Because, hey, I didn't ask to be here. And, honestly, if I could have chosen my parents, I would have chosen richer ones. Call me crazy. Um, so when people come out and they're like, oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, this person this person that, I get real STFU on them, especially at my gaming tables, because I'm very big on people going through their experiences. And I believe that people who have experience have the obligation, the duty to be the same type of guide that they needed when they were coming up. You know, um, that's that's real talk. That's a real thing. Mm. So today, I really want to focus on a lot of solutions with this stuff. All right. So when there are people that are trying to make fun of you for not knowing, for not already being good at something, I know your parents would be like, just ignore them. They're jealous. They're jealous of you because that's why they have to make fun of you. They're jealous. Just ignore them. Real talk, that don't work. That never works. Now, we're in the 21st century, so you could mute them. Just make sure you got a VPN going. Um, but when you're in a place like a Discord server talking about D&D or something like that, and you want to do stuff revolving your habits, or your hobbies rather. Like yesterday, my girl finished the first miniature. Oh wow, most of you guys bailed. Thanks. My girl finished the very first miniature she ever, she was ever proud of. Now, truth be told, it's not golden demon worthy. You know what? But that don't matter. She was happy with what she did. And I'm like, she was happy with what she did. And I was proud of her for sitting down, starting a model, and finishing it, and it looked really good. And she's at a really good place when it comes to painting miniatures. Yeah, it's a place that I'm past, but I've been doing it for 15 years. She's been doing it really for a couple of months. Ooh, And I'll tell you this, if anybody had disrespected her, they would have seen a side of me that most people are afraid exists. Okay? Not because she's my girl, per se. I'm not that guy. But what I am is the dude saying, you know what? Never make fun of people who are learning when they improve, when they finish something. That all that does is discourage people. And if there are gatekeepers out there that are saying, well, I just want to make sure the wrong type of people aren't in, I challenge you to define the wrong people. Say it straight. Say exactly what you're thinking. Are you brave enough? Because I'll tell you, I don't like. I really, really, really maybe that might be real, Antoine Allen. Thank you. But I will say quite honestly, all right. I've been playing role-playing games for a long time. I got to talk with some players with a little less experience than me, and we got to trade some licks, in the sense of like, this is what I do when I GM. Well, this is what I do when I GM. I let them know some of the monsters that I put out there and some of the concepts that we use. I even told them about, I told them about what I did to the damage types in 5th edition. They're like, dude, it's kind of harsh, but it's actually pretty cool. I kind of like that. I'm like, yeah, feel free to use it. Hit me up with an email and I'll send it to you. And we got a chance to just talk and commune and actually be part of a community, And that's the big thing that is really the big thing that we put this stuff together for, And so when I talk about keeping the wrong people out, it's real simple. The people I don't want around, especially in the back in the deck community, are the ones who would make people feel terrible for not being as good as them. Okay? In real fact, we don't know why we're better at stuff than other people. There's so many different factors, And I get tired of people that silence people by cutting them off or making fun of them or saying they don't know what they're talking about, so they should just shut up. I've never liked that. I don't do that. Um, I don't encourage that. And truth, I ban hammer people that do. Probably explains why we don't have very many subscribers. um, because one person's experience is not the totality of an entire community or an entire society. You get what I mean? Those racist chuckleheads that wouldn't let me in the Games Workshop store at the block at Orange, if they were indicative of the entire Warhammer community in 2004 when that happened, there's no guarantee that that's part of the community today. Okay? I don't know what the community is today. I'm getting to know some. But what I do know is that a lot of the stuff that we do as our hobbies, again, Antoine, I don't use profanity on this channel. Okay? I want to make sure that people can show these talks to their kids so their kids can actually feel not alone. And grandma can't come in saying, "Oh my God, he's chain smoking and using all that foul language. He's Satan." You know, I'm trying not to do all that. So yeah, I call them chuckleheads. But where was I? Oh yeah. I'm getting to know some people from communities all over the place. Okay, all over the place. And people change, societies change because time continues to go forward. You know, I'll tell you, I've watched so many things change over time. I remember when TV was all that good flim flam filth, flarn and filth, flarn and filth. That's not a Cosby impression. That is an impression of someone doing an impression of Bill Cosby. It was kind of raw, but it's one of those things. But yeah, but the fact of the matter is there are good communities out there. There really are. And I've been doing my best to try and cultivate one here. You ain't got to agree with people. You just got to respect people. And respect doesn't mean obedience. It simply means engagement in good faith with. You might learn something. I know I learned stuff from so many people all over the place. Okay? Because I have my life experiences, but there are billions of people on the planet, which means everyone has had their own experiences, and they're worth listening to. Okay? They're worth listening to, and they're worth taking seriously. I know when it comes to the level of disenfranchisement I come from, I've had to tell a lot of my friends that we're not friends anymore because they refuse to acknowledge my history and my past as something real. Okay? Because I know a lot of people that are like, if it doesn't happen to them, then it doesn't exist. And it's a defense mechanism. It's what they do, but that's fine, But when you're here, when you're back in the deck spaces, everybody gets a voice and everybody gets their turn. Even when you want to cut somebody off, and it's like, you know what? Nah, man, let them finish. Engage with what they say. All right. And I always encourage people to question, why is it so important to you to correct people? Why is it so important to you that that person agrees with you? Are you fighting for your own cleverness or what? So yeah, it really is one of those things. Now, this is the beginning of the week. I'm going to be talking a lot more about the hobbies in and of themselves. Tonight, we're running Warp Tumbler C23, which is a super fun game. We've got Vivian, Cassidy, and Rowdy Rebecca on deck for their game, and that's going to be fun. We're going to be doing that at from 6:30 to 6:30, 7 o'clock to 10. And honestly, that's one of the games that I really, really, really love running. But over the course of the week, I've got a couple of other things like GM tips, player tips, stuff on writing. Now, I wanted to talk to you guys before I got off of here about Hobby Hall, my Friday show. There's a couple of things that I need to put out there for you guys to consider. and for you guys to get back at me at. All right. I really like doing hobby haul, but I'm running out of stuff to paint. I'm running out of projects to do that'll seem fun, but I'm really trying to keep it accessible, specifically with stuff like foam core from the dollar store, working on terrain and things like that. But I also know that we live in the 21st century post COVID. So I don't know how much in-person gaming people are doing and how much hobbying people are actually doing when it comes to painting miniatures, building terrain, or even playing games one-on-one. So I could use a couple of suggestions from you guys about how to do that. Now I still want to have the actual lessons where we talk about color theory and color wheel and like different kind of painting techniques and things like that. But I need to know, I'd really like to know what you guys would like when it comes to hobby haul. Do you want to keep focusing on crafts, or do you want to go into writers workshops, or maybe some sewing tips or things like that? So let me know. Let me know. Yeah, give it some thought. It's only Monday, and the next show is scheduled for Friday because once I know that, I'll have a much better, much better understanding of how to set up the studio, where to place the cameras, and what shots I want to make sure are lit well so that everybody can get what they do. Because it's not just a matter of, well, why don't you just do this? Everything takes preparation, guys. But thanks for bearing with me as I do this little rant. I'm a little tired today. Oh, wow, look at that. Yeah, getting played off. I want to give a major shout out to Daryl, Stargate, Antoine Allen over on YouTube, and of course, over here on Twitch. I want to give my shout out to NP City, with Action Shin, Alien Gatherer, Captain Danes, Chocolate Man 7092, Dankin' Around, Erica Funber, Nate Zelly, Neon Arlecchino, Serial Shins, what is that? That looks like the Pyro Frost. Or is that Therapy Frost? No, that's the Pyro Frost. Vixabel Cosplay. Von the Stampede. Not to be confused with Vash. And of course, holding it down like gravity, we got Clever Low Vixen over here. Thank you guys. Like seriously, thank you guys for being here. With my request of interacting with me and all that stuff. Hit me up by sending me an email at backinthedeck@gmail.com. That's BACKINTHEDECK@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on the social media that we all have and nobody likes, like Twitter and Instagram. Also at Back in the Deck, and reach out to me over on them TikToks. I'm working on filming a few more puppet videos because I got a little more inspiration this week. And you can find those over on TikTok at BidP. That's at BIDPY. And of course, tune in tonight at 7 o'clock for Warp Tumblers C24. All right. And if you guys seriously want to watch all that stuff, now that's only going to be on Twitch and not on YouTube. All right. I want to make that very clear because I do the dual casting here on YouTube and all that other stuff, but I don't have the bandwidth to run the game online and dual cast between Twitch and YouTube. Like, that would literally increase my internet bill by another $100 a month, and I need more patrons and subscribers to make sure that that happens. But meet us here on twitch.tv/BID_P at 7 o'clock tonight for Warp Tumbler C24 to see some D&D in action. No, I'm not Matt Mercer. I am Solar Gray, the Cinematic Sorcerer. But until next time, I want to thank you guys again for showing up, and we will see you next time on the Dark Side of the Room.